Billionaire's Sweet Trap Novel Audiobook. Chapter 1 to Chapter 3. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. In a rented house, a violent knock sounded at the door. Shuhan sat on the ground in despair, and her face turned pale. Her small, trembling hands tightly grasped her mother's sleeves, and she begged, "Mom, please don't hand me over." The unkind woman ruthlessly yanked her hands off and said, "If you don't go with President Wang, who is going to pay for your sister's overseas tuition fees? I am your daughter too, and I have a boyfriend now. How can you sell me to an ugly old man, just for the sake of my sister?" Shuhan cried. Feng sneered. "Sewer is my biological daughter while you are just a piece of trash that we picked up by the roadside. I've waited all these years just to raise you until you are of age to get married. And when it's time, the dowry paid by your suitor will be your sister's. How much does that porchy Shuhan have? As long as I can send Sewer abroad to study, I will be more than willing to sell your kidney for some money." Shuhan trembled in shock as she could not believe that all this was true. She thought of everything that Feng had done to her over the past few years and how she had ruthlessly destroyed the remaining hope in her. Flashbacks of her broken childhood appeared in her mind as Shuhan gritted her teeth and said, "From today onwards, we shall cut our ties." Following that, she staggered out of the door. There was a faint light coming from the presidential suite. Shuhan clutched the sheets nervously, her slender fingers turned pale from gripping them too tightly. In the darkness, she could feel the cold breath wafting into her nose as a towering figure enveloped her small frame. Shuhan was too afraid to breathe with the imposing aura she felt from the man. "Did she send you here?" Suddenly, a deep and attractive voice sounded from above. Shuhan froze instantly upon hearing his voice, and she trembled with fear while answering, "Yes." The man chuckled. With his attractive voice, he spat out two extremely hurtful words. "How filthy!" His pitch-black eyes looked fierce and merciless in the dark, and his lips were curled upwards in anger, resembling an enraged beast. The coldness of his palms pushed Shuhan into a pit of despair. Tears rolled down Shuhan's cheeks as she hopelessly closed her eyes. She could not tell how long it took before the man finally left. Shuhan did not wait for him to come back from the bathroom. After she got changed, she quickly left the place. The moment she walked out of the hotel, she heard a series of sharp berating from behind. When Shuhan turned around, Feng rushed up to her and planted a slap on her face. "You little devil! How dare you run away?" Feng shrieked. Shuhan covered her face in pain and could not take it any longer. "I've followed your orders. What more do you want from me? President Wang said that you were not in the hotel room, and he waited for 4 whole hours. He is very furious now. Go look for him immediately, or I will break your legs." Feng pointed at Shuhan and ordered. Shuhan was stunned. "That's impossible. I clearly just..." "What are you saying? President Wang said that he did not even see you. Are you trying to lie to me that you've gone in?" Feng glared fiercely at her. She rushed forward and pulled Shuhan's collar apart. There were conspicuous red marks all over her shoulders. The sight angered Feng so much that she was shaking in rage. "You little slut! How dare you secretly sleep with another man instead? You really are shameless." Feng's face contorted with anger as she landed another tight slap on Shuhan's face. "Your sister has no money to study abroad, so I sold you off. You can only stop when I have earned enough." After the whole ruckus, Feng then brought Shuhan home in rage. Back home, Sewer had a murderous glare on her face when she locked Shuhan in the room. Then she turned to Feng and said, "Mom, what is going to happen to my tuition fees? How dare Shuhan do such a thing?" Feng was also overwhelmed with rage. She looked at Sewer's pitiful face and said, "Sewer, don't worry. It is only 500,000. I will contact a doctor to perform restorative surgery on Shuhan immediately. I definitely won't disappoint you. Thanks, Mom. You treat me so well. Kinsuer leaned on Hu Meifeng's chest with a gleeful smirk on her face. But to continue with the act, she pouted her lips and added a hint of grievance in her tone. However, I heard that one would need a lot of money to go abroad. $500,000 is only the basic cost. And I'm afraid that I will not have enough money to come back whenever I want to visit you. If that is the case, we will make Shuhan work as a hostess. The money she earns will be transferred to your card. Hu Meifeng already decided that she would not let the trash ruin her precious daughter's future. Kinsuer smiled in triumph. If Shuhan becomes a hostess, she will never be able to redeem herself in the future. She will always remain filthy and can only watch me with envy. The thought of her being able to enjoy her life overseas excited her. Kinsuer was indeed in great spirits. She was discussing where they should head to for a celebration when the sound of rapid footsteps interrupted the conversation between the pair of mother and daughter. There were more than a dozen men in black who surrounded the Qin family's residence. Almost immediately after, a decently dressed young man walked quickly toward them under the protection of numerous bodyguards. Hu Meifeng and Kinsuer, who were in the house, were frightened by the scene. Who are you looking for? They stuttered, fearing for their lives. The young man politely looked at them and said, Excuse me, Miss Qin, were you the woman in Street Andrews Hotel's room 797 last night? Street Andrews Hotel was the hotel that President Wang was in last night. However, his room number was not 797. Hu Meifeng briefly glanced at Kinsuer and told the young man, You are looking for the wrong person. Right then, Chen Yan passed a student card to her. This student card was left behind in my president's room last night. He had too much to drink and mistook you for the wrong person. He did not mean to. Kinsuer did not expect Shuhan to have slept with the president of a corporation last night. She clenched her fists and forced out a smile. She took the student card and turned it over. When she realized that there was no photo on it, she said, This is mine. But who is your president? Feng Lanhe, Chen Yan said with a respectful tone. Kinsuer was surprised, and she asked in astonishment, DA Group's president, Feng Lanhe. Yes, the president never owes anyone a favor. Regarding what happened last night, he will give you a satisfactory explanation. But he asks for your patience, Miss Qin. After he finished, Chen Yan left with the group of bodyguards. Kinsuer staggered to the sofa and collapsed on it. Her body trembled slightly in shock. How could this have happened? Hu Meifeng saw the dark expression written all over her daughter's face and asked in confusion, DA Group. Why haven't I heard of it before? Is the man who Shuhan slept with last night very powerful? He was the person in charge of DA Group. And to say that he was powerful was an understatement. Kinsuer was filled with jealousy and rage. Feng Lanhe is the eldest son of the Feng family. At 19, he single-handedly built DA Group, which transformed Yun City into the commercial capital in just 5 years. From what the man had said, Shuhan probably entered the wrong room, and Feng Lanhe wanted to make it up to her. If so, isn't Shuhan going to get lucky? No, that can't happen. I will never give Shuhan an opportunity like this. Kinsuer grabbed Hu Meifeng in agitation and said, Mom, we can't let the Feng family find out about Shuhan's existence. We need to get rid of her. 6 years later, they were at Street Andrews Church. Kinsuer gave up on her chance to further her studies abroad and stayed with the Feng family. From someone who had nothing, she became the boss of the Qin group with the support of the Feng family. Today was her engagement party with Feng Lanhe. Kinsuer was dressed in a white evening gown, and she stood elegantly on the podium, facing a sophisticated-looking man. The tailored suit fitted him well and accentuated his perfect figure. His handsome features looked dazzling under the light, while his princely aura overshadowed the rest of the crowd. Meanwhile, Kinsuar had a bright smile on her beautiful face. This was the man she adored, and she could finally be engaged to him today. Even though she knew that Feng Lanhe only wanted a fiancé to fool the elders at home, Kinsuar was still overjoyed. She proudly said, "Welcome everyone. Today, the president of Yun City's largest corporation, Feng Lanhe, and I are getting engaged. I hope everyone." Mommy. Kinsuar was not done speaking when a chubby figure rushed up to the stage and hugged her calves. Guests who filled the entire hall looked at the child in curiosity. Kinsuar was confused by the interruption and hurriedly said, "Little boy, you have gotten the wrong person. Mommy, I am your beloved son, Tian Tian. How can you abandon daddy and me to marry this boy toy?" The child was around 4 or 5 years old. When the little fellow raised his head, one could see the tears in his eyes. As soon as the boy said those words, the entire room of guests instantly drew a sharp breath. Kinsuar has a son. Why did we not know about it? Feng Lanhe is going to be her next pawn. Damn, how embarrassing for him. There was an uproar among the guests. Feng Lanhe, who wasn't even planning to attend the engagement party, frowned slightly as his cold gaze landed on Kinsuar. Kinsuar felt a bone-chilling sensation down her spine from his gaze. In a panic, she pushed the boy aside. "You are spouting nonsense. I don't know you at all. Whose child are you?" "I never expected mommy to be the type of person who would abandon her own son for money." The chubby boy pointed his finger at Feng Lanhe, who was beside him, and cried, "This man is old and ugly. He is so different from daddy. Mommy, please don't marry him. Let's go back to the village and stay together as a family of 3. Okay?" Upon hearing that, the crowd gave Kinsuar odd looks. Kinsuar was so embarrassed that she angrily called out to the bodyguards, "Cut the crap. I don't even know you. Can someone please drag this boy away? If mommy doesn't want Tian Tian, then Tian Tian doesn't want to live anymore." The child's tears were pouring down his face as he let out heartbreaking cries. Everyone was stunned by what Kinsuar had done. They did not expect Kinsuar to be so vicious. How could she abandon her child so cruelly in order to marry into a rich family? They saw how pitiful the little boy looked, crying till his eyes turned red. But Kinsuar did not bother to comfort him and even pushed him away. Is she even human? The guests watched on curiously while Feng Lanhe, the man that many respected, remained expressionless. Kinsuar quickly explained, "Lanhe, please hear me out. I really don't know who this child is. Find someone else." Feng Lanhe's voice was crisp and clear as he spoke to the secretary behind him emotionlessly. He only wanted a fiancé. It did not matter who it was. The entire room gasped in shock. Everyone's eyes were fixated on Kinsuar, who had just been rejected on the spot. This was sensational news indeed. Kinsuar was extremely embarrassed, and in a moment of desperation, she grabbed onto Feng Lanhe's sleeves. He stopped in his tracks and gave her a cold stare which made her loosen her grip in fear. Tears formed in her eyes as she watched Feng Lanhe through the outer coat that she had touched into the bin before he walked off. Filled with rage, Kinsuar marched back to the podium. The child who had caused the scene was back on his feet. There were still tears on his face, but one could see a hint of joy in the child's eyes with a closer look. On the spur of the moment, Kinsuar, who was overwhelmed with grievance and anger, raised her hand to plant a slap across his face. But before Kinsuar could touch him, someone had grabbed her wrist. A crisp laughter sounded. "It's been a while, sis." This voice. Kinsuar was instantly stunned, and her eyes were filled with disbelief. "What are you doing here? It's my sister's big day. How could I miss it?" Shuhan's bright red lips curled up into a confident and beautiful smile. Kinsuar could not hide her anger anymore and sternly said, Have you forgotten what you told Mom years ago? Who are you to appear at my engagement party? Are you trying to take revenge? Yes, I am. Are you satisfied? Sis. Qin Shuhan beamed, and her exquisite features caught the attention of many. Qin Suer hated Qin Shuhan's smile and thought she looked like a cunning fox. There were many guests outside who had yet to leave, and Qin Suer was the boss of Qin Group. If she were to teach Qin Shuhan a lesson there and then, she would seem unsophisticated in front of everyone. Hence, Qin Suer quickly dragged Qin Shuhan to an empty corner and whispered in a low voice, I'll give you 3 days to leave Yun City. Otherwise, you'll regret it. Afraid that there were other people watching, Qin Suer quickly walked off. She was probably going to chase after Feng Lanhe. It was chaos in the church. One after another, the guests left while a small figure ran through the crowd to Qin Shuhan. Mommy, did I act well? Please praise me. The child looked at her innocently with a mischievous smile. Qin Shuhan's heart wavered at the sight of this little sweetheart. She carried the child in her arms and kissed him. You did well. My baby did a good job. Come on. Let me reward you with a cup of milk tea. Having said that, she walked out of the church with Qin Tiantian. 6 years ago, Hu Meifeng had sold her to a nightclub, and not long after that, she managed to escape secretly. She stayed hidden for a few months and only managed to stay alive after escaping to another province. But she realized she was pregnant later on. It was that man's child. At that time, Qin Shuhan wanted to abort the child. However, the doctor told her that it was already too late. She was already too far in her pregnancy, and so he advised her to keep it. As she looked at the cute, doll-like little boy in front of her, Qin Shuhan felt lucky. Thank goodness she did not go through with her decision then. Otherwise she would not have had such an adorable child. In the dessert shop, Tian sat on the high stool with his short legs hanging in the air. He held the milk tea in his hands and innocently asked, Mommy, is my daddy really in Yun City? He should be. Qin Shuhan returned here with the purpose of finding out who that man was. That is great. I can finally see daddy. I wonder how he looks like. If I am such a handsome boy, he shouldn't be too far off either. Right. When I see him, what should I say? The boy said while sipping his milk tea happily. There was a sweet smile on his little chubby face. After he was done, Qin Shuhan brought Tian to Street Andrew's hotel to ask about the guest in room 797 that night. As the staff at the front desk went through the records, the expression on his face changed slightly, but he shook his head and said, There's no record of that guest. That's not possible. Didn't your hotel keep any records? Qin Shuhan questioned. The staff shook his head again. I'm sorry, miss. I really couldn't find it. May I help you with anything else? Then, please help me book a room. Qin Shuhan was disappointed by his response. After taking the access card, she brought Tian upstairs. The moment Qin Shuhan left, the staff immediately made a call. That girl is here. Qin Suer spent half the day begging outside the DA group to see Feng Lanhe, but to no avail. In a moment of despair, a phone call came from the hotel. Instantly, she overcame her fear. Without further ado, Qin Suer drove to Street Andrew's hotel. The doorbell rang, breaking the silence in the room. Qin Tian, who was folding his clothes, yelled toward the bathroom. Mommy, there is someone at the door. Before Qin Shuhan could catch his words, Qin Tian ran to the door himself. He opened the door and looked at the visitor in shock. Isn't this the evil woman from this morning? Qin Tian did not know the purpose of her visit and wanted to shut the door immediately. But Qin Suer quickly blocked the door with her foot. Then she forcefully pushed it open and picked the child up roughly from the ground. Mommy, save me. Qin Tian was in pain, and he waved his hands, struggling to escape from her grip. Qin Shuhan, who came out from the bathroom, witnessed the scene and quickly rushed forward. Let go of Tian. Tian. What an oddly cute name. It's such a pity that you have her as your mother. Though. Kinsuer sneered and squeezed Tian's neck. Suddenly, her gaze turned hostile. What are you trying to do? Let go of him. Shuhan stopped in her tracks and fiercely ordered. Kinsuer carried Tian and walked into the room. She sat on the chair, but her grip around him did not loosen. I heard that you were investigating the incident 5 years ago. That is none of your business, Shuhan said with a cold expression. The grip on her fingers tightened, and the boy on her lap screamed in pain. She let out a faint laugh. Get out of Yun City, and I will not pursue what happened today. Our issue has got nothing to do with the child. Let go of him first. Shuhan frowned when she noticed that Tian's eyes were swollen from the crying. Kinsuer lowered her gaze to the child in her arms. Nothing to do with him. If it wasn't for this bastard, I would have considered letting you off the hook. What do you mean? Shuhan questioned. Kinsuer sneered while she hid the envy in her eyes. Are you going to leave? No, I will not leave. Why do I have to listen to you? Had you and your mother not hurt me enough 5 years ago? Shuhan had never met someone as evil as her. Was it wrong for her to try finding her child's father? Who is Kinsuer to stop her from doing so? Kinsuer did not want to waste her time with Shuhan. Very well. You can forget about bringing your child home if you don't leave the city. She carried Tian and walked toward the door. Tian was scared out of his wits and screamed as tears filled his eyes. Mommy! Please save me! Shuhan wanted to snatch her child back, but she was stopped by Kinsuer's secretary. What do you want? Let go of my son! Shuhan shouted anxiously. Kinsuer looked at the child in her arms with disgust and warned her. If you don't leave, I will make him disappear forever. You are crazy! Shuhan roared. You can try pushing your luck. Kinsuer smirked and turned to leave. When Tian saw his mommy being held back by a man, he struggled with all his might to run over to Shuhan. However, Kinsuer refused to let him go. Seeing that the malicious woman still held on to him, he angrily said, You bad woman! Let go of me! I want my mommy! Little kid! Those who are not obedient will be thrown into the naughty corner. An evil expression crept up on Kinsuer's face. Tian struggled even more, causing his neck to turn red from Kinsuer's grip. Shuhan could not even get close to Tian as she was afraid that Kinsuer would hurt him. She pleaded with reddened eyes. Tian, be good. You can leave with her first. Mommy will pick you up in a few days. I don't want to. I want to be together with mommy. Tian cried until his voice turned hoarse. If you want to be together with your mommy, then you should leave Yun City with her. Kinsuer then turned to order her secretary. Watch Shuhan and don't let her step out of her room. Notify me when she is willing to leave Yun City. Feeling annoyed, she carried Tian out of the hotel and casually threw him into her back seat. Meanwhile, at the Qin family's house, Feng was still bothered by the incident at the engagement party, but she could not get hold of Kinsuer the entire day. Upon seeing the return of Kinsuer's car, she hurriedly ran out. Sure, you have made me worried sick. It was going so well. So how did it end up like this? Have you explained everything to Feng Lanhe? Feng had just finished when she spotted the child beside her. In shock, she said, Oh dear, where did this child come from? Kinsuer threw Tian onto the sofa frustratedly and said, Shuhan had given birth to this bastard. Tian was enraged and retorted, You the bastard. Hearing his response, Kinsuer towered over him and mocked, Your mommy used to work as a nightclub hostess and slept with many men. You were born at that time. Yet both of you were audacious enough to mess up my engagement party. Your mommy is shameless and so are you. Tiantian's small figure froze. He had never heard such vicious words, and his heart felt like it was being stabbed. Although he was very sad, he wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes and said, "I am not a bastard. I have a daddy." HMPH. Qin Suer snorted. "Mom, bring him upstairs and lock him up. And don't let him out." After Hu Feng locked Tiantian up, she went downstairs and asked Qin Suer, "Is that Qin Shuhan's child? Who else can it be? That piece of trash actually got pregnant with Lanhe's child and brought him up. If we knew that this was going to happen, we should not have freed her then." Qin Suer's fists curled into a ball. Hu Feng gasped. "What did you say? He is Feng family's child?" "Yes," Qin Suer replied enviously. She had spent 6 years weaving a web of lies, and it had taken a while for Madame Feng to finally force Feng Lanhe to get engaged with her. But in reality, he had never even touched her these few years. If Feng Lanhe knew that Qin Shuhan was the actual girl from that day and even had his child, Qin Suer's position would be threatened. Feng Lanhe can never know of this child's existence. Qin Suer's gaze burned with hatred. She was ready to discuss how she should deal with Qin Tiantian when her bodyguard anxiously ran in. "I'm sorry, Miss. Qi Sihuan is here." The current situation was already troubling enough for Qin Suer to handle, and upon hearing Qi Sihuan's name, she felt even more stressed. 6 years ago, Qi Sihuan was still Qin Shuhan's boyfriend. Qin Suer was afraid that he would take Qin Shuhan's virginity, which would not allow her to fetch a good price for Qin Shuhan. As a result, she used Qin Shuhan's name to humiliate Qi Sihuan and took the opportunity to cut ties with him. Unexpectedly, Qi Sihuan, originally a poor boy, became the heir to the well-known Qi family. In the past few years, he had come to the Qin family and demanded to see Qin Shuhan a few times. And now, even Qin Suer was afraid to see him. "What is he doing here? Lock the doors and do not let him." Before she could finish her sentence, a handsome man had already marched in and headed straight for the living room. "What did you want to lock? Is Han here?" Qin Suer immediately blocked his path and said flatly, "Qin Shuhan is not here. This is my house, so please leave." But Qi Sihuan shot Qin Suer a sharp look. "She was at your engagement party, so she must be here. You better bring her out." Qin Suer clenched her fists tightly. With her sharp mind, of course she could sense that he was threatening her. Over time, the humiliation that Qi Sihuan had suffered then made him hate the Qin family. It would be hard for her to get away if she did not hand Qin Shuhan over today. Abruptly, Qin Suer thought of an idea. Qin Shuhan is really not here, but her son is here. She has a child. Qi Sihuan was in shock. Qin Suer pretended to be troubled. "Yes, she does. She used to mind that you were poor and was determined to be President Wang's woman. However, President Wang was already married, and Qin Shuhan could only be his secret mistress. You should hate Qin Shuhan and not me since I have nothing to do with it." Thanks for listening to the Bravonovel audiobook. Welcome to download the Bravonovel app. Read the novel Billionaire's Sweet Trap online and get the latest updates. Please see the video introduction for the novel details page and app download address.